Okay guys, so what we're going to do is a complete introduction for an absolute beginner getting into Unreal Engine, well Unreal Engine full stop, but Unreal Engine 5 specifically. So here we have the Epic Games Launcher, so if you hopefully would download that first of all, you can go into the Unreal Engine tab here on the side. You can go to Library here and then you can pick the engine version that you want to download. Um, yeah, the current one that I have is 5.0.3 because obviously Unreal Engine 5 is fairly new. So I've already downloaded it, so it will take a while to download. Once it is, you push the launch button here, and then you will end up with a screen that looks like this. Okay, so this is the kind of creating a project screen. Um, with Unreal Engine, it's not like something like Microsoft Word or a PowerPoint or something where you can open it and you can actually start editing and everything without having saved it. With Unreal Engine, you have to save it first before you create a project. Reason being is it because it creates a project folder, okay, rather than just like a file, like a Word file or a 3ds Max file or something. It is a project folder that contains all of the assets and everything that you put into your Unreal Engine project are stored automatically into this project folder that you create at this point. All right, so that's why we create this first. So there's all these things obviously that Unreal can do: games, film and video, architecture, product design. Um, but for us, the focus is going to be on games. So you have these templates to get started with games development. The templates are great, to be honest with you. The first person, for example, you've got a gun already made for you. You've got the movement with WASD already there. You've got jumping, firing, all this stuff that you're going to need anyway. So why not start with a template that already has it? And then, of course, all that stuff can be customizable. Particularly when you're starting out, these templates are very good. Only when you feel really confident with the software would you really want to start with a completely blank project. Great, so we're going to go with the first person one. Then over down the right hand side here, you have some other settings. So you've got either Blueprint or C++. Now, this is all going to depend on whether you know C++ or not. And someone who's just beginning with Unreal Engine, you may well not know C++, in which case I would strongly recommend going with Blueprints. Um, Only use C++ if you, like I said, you already know that programming language. The Blueprint scripts, um, you know, they're used a lot in the games development industry, so it's not like a waste of time learning how the Blueprint scripts work if that's something you want to do. They will also teach you a lot of the fundamentals of programming as well, things like variables, arrays, all that kind of thing. So it is a really good starting point. The target platform, obviously what you're building for. So you have desktop or mobile. That's again up to you. And then the quality preset, I would say if you have like a good quality computer, you've got a dedicated GPU and everything, then you might want to stick with maximum. If you don't and you're not sure that your computer is going to be quite powerful enough to run Unreal at all, or maybe at low settings, then you want to use scalable, but I'm going to keep that at maximum. You have this option to turn on starter content. Now, starter content I'm going to turn on because for us, we want something to just get started with, something that we can play around with for learning. So it's really good for that. And it's got some architecture models, some materials and things. So if you want to use those, you can turn them on. Again, as you become more confident, you won't need that and you can turn it off. Ray tracing is another whole thing. I would only turn that on if you really have a top spec PC. Um, you can turn it on later and everything like that. So my recommendation is to just leave that off, particularly as a beginner. And as I say, once you get more confident with the software, you'll know whether or not you want to turn ray tracing on. But for now, leave that off. You can give your project a name. Bear in mind with Unreal Engine, you can't have anything that's named with spaces in. So, you know, like it says, it's my project, my, and then project, the letters start with a capital, so it's obvious to see the spacing between the letters without there being a space. And that's that to start off with. So if we hit create, it will create us a project. I will pause the video whilst it creates. Okay, so when your project is created, you will see something that looks like this. We've got a sort of a pre-built template to walk around in. I'll show you that in a moment, but what I want to show you first of all, before we start looking at the interface, is just revisiting that idea of this being a project folder. Okay, now for myself, I saved this in this Unreal Projects folder here, and you can see my project, that's what the project was named, the Unreal Engine project. And if I go into that, you can see there's a bunch of subfolders and this .u project file here. Okay, and if you went into content, you would have all this stuff, like the starter content here, all these maps, materials, and everything. Everything that's in this project is in these folders. Okay, so if you were to move this project folder, or your game, from perhaps one PC to another, what you would need to do is right-click this, send it to a compressed zipped folder. All right, it would make a zipped version of that, and then you could upload that to OneDrive or whatever, some kind of cloud storage, and then from another computer you could download it and unzip it and continue to work on it. If you need to do that, if you're just on one PC and you're moving it from place to place, you can just move this folder as it is. Don't try just moving this, because you won't have everything else that comes with it, right? It is this project folder. A lot of people forget that. Okay, so the interface itself. So obviously here you've got your game map, which just has this pre-created thing so far. On the right-hand side, we have the outliner, which has everything individually itemized, if you like, that's in the map already. And you can see as I click through them, it's selecting the different objects in the scene. And then each object that's selected has its own settings down here. So we've got this static mesh here, and then all that static mesh has, all this positional data, and it has these physics things here. It has all the collision detection, everything that you might need to edit about this one individual item. Obviously, that can seem somewhat overwhelming at first, but again, a lot of this stuff you won't touch, certainly for quite some time whilst you're learning. Okay, so in terms of actually moving around, if you hold down your right click on the mouse button, you can pan around like this. Whilst you're doing that, you can use the WASD keys to move the camera around your map. Okay, that can take some getting used to, but it's worth just messing around with that till you feel comfortable. Okay, so these individual objects, so like these boxes that are here, I could select one of these, and you have this this thing appear here. This is known as the gizmo. So I can move this box in along 3 different axes. Okay, so I can move it this direction, up and down, whatever you need to do. Okay, you can also come up here and we can rotate things like this should you need to, and you can also scale. So you could scale from the middle and it will scale everything uniformly, or you can scale in one direction. Okay, so again, just spend some time getting used to that. The shortcuts for that is W for move, E for rotate, and R for scale, and you'll want to use those shortcuts. All right. What else might you need to do? So snapping, I can see up here. So you can see when you start moving things that it jumps. It kind of snaps to the grid. You can see that. So if I turn this off here and I move it again, you can see it's not snapping anymore. Okay, so you can turn the snapping on and off, and you can also change the amount that it's snapping to. So the grid size I could turn up to like 100, and then when I move that, it jumps a lot further. Okay, same with rotating. Change that to sort of increments of 45 degrees if you want to do that with your rotating, or again, you could have it completely turned off if you want to rotate really finely. Okay, so that's the snapping, and the same obviously there for the scale. Also along here, you've got your camera speed. So, if you find, especially at first, that the camera moves way too quickly, you could turn it down to like 2 or something, and then it's not going to move so crazily around. But then that's, again, just going to be your personal preference. What else? So adding things into your game. So down here at the bottom, you've got the content drawer. So if I click that, you can see all these folders, which is, so the first person is obviously the first person character, the first person arms. You've got the weapon that you can pick up. You've got the level prototyping stuff, which is all of these bits that you can see here. And you've got this starter content, which we added into the game when we made our project. So as you can see, when you click sort of into your scene again, the content drawer goes away. For myself, I like to click this dock in layout here so that it always stays there. All right. So what I would recommend you do as one of the first things you do is to, well, firstly, sort of clear everything out of this template. Okay. So we'll just get rid of sort of that much for now. And then what I would do is with this starter content, go into the architecture folder and you'll see all these walls. Okay, and there's like a floor and a pillar and a platform. Drag these into your scene. Okay, and you can see these are like modular assets, if you like. So this one is 400 by 400 and it has a door. All right, and then maybe we want one 400 by 400 with a window. Okay, and what I can do is rotate this one. Line that up to here. Copy and pasting is very straightforward. So you just Control C and then Control V, and now I've duplicated that and I can move it along. And then this window can be at the back. Lovely, and the snapping allows it to line up really nicely. Okay, and I've made this little room. So let's move that gun out of the way there. So I would just play around with this stuff, just creating a series of corridors and rooms and things just to get used to moving around the interface, adding objects in, rotating them, scaling them, moving them, and all of that. All right, so if I wanted to play this now, play this game, there's a play button at the top here. This is for play testing, so if I push play, the game has begun. You can see just about, in fact, what I'll do is I'll remove that, push play. So you can see the hands there. When you pick up this gun, this is all that's given to us in the template. Shoot and things like that. But also I've got this little building here that I created, which I can walk into and move around and test whatever you need to test. And when you push the escape key on your keyboard, it goes back to the editor again, and I can continue doing the editing. All right. So that's kind of what I would do to get started, essentially, is to use this starter content. What else have we got in here? There's materials here. These are some pre-made materials, some quite nice ones. Let's dock that. So you can drag and drop them onto these objects that we've created, nice and easily. There we go. What else is there? There's this props folder. So we've got like a bush here, a chair, door frame. That fit in there? Looks like it. Door frame there. What else? The rock. Some stairs over here. There you go. So you can start adding things in like that. There's some particle effects, some real basic ones. So there's a fire, for example. Maybe the bush is on fire. Something weird. Okay, some sparks. We can put that there. And let's put like a light there. So it looks like the light is broken or something. Okay, lovely. Okay. So again, with the starter content, you can build yourself a nice little map in this space. Okay, and then I can push play, and also I can see everything going on. My door frame isn't quite in there, but we'll ignore that for now. Some things, so if I push play, and I know this already, like this rock, when you walk through it, the collision detection isn't quite there. You can just walk through it, can't walk into the wall. The chair we can't walk through, and the stairs you can also just walk through, so they don't work, which is kind of weird, as it's the content that's given to us. But if I find the stairs, so there's the stairs, right, that I dragged in. That's the static mesh for those stairs. If I double click that, you can open the asset individually. So what I want to do is to go to collision up here. I'm just going to add a collision on there. So add this one, this add 26 simplified collision. But with that, if I were to save that and try it, now I can't walk up it because the collision is just a solid box around the whole thing. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to come down here and change the collision complexity to use complex collision as simple and push save. Okay, and now, as you can see, or hopefully you can kind of see, I'm walking up those stairs. All right, and I can do the same thing for the rock. Add a collision on there, and you can see it's just a box around it. I don't need a complex collision for the box. That'll be absolutely fine. We'll just save that, close it down, and now this rock, I can't glitch through that anymore. Okay. Other things that you can add in. So if you come up here, you've got quickly add to the project. You've got some, what would you want to do for now? Ignore the actors and things for now. Got some lights, so I can drag in a point light. Oh, that's gone. Where's it gone? Like inside the wall. So I can put a light in this little building that I've made. Okay. In the settings over here, so what I could do is I could come to settings, change the light color, make it like red maybe, make the intensity really high, 20 or something. These settings are going to take, a long time to kind of go through, but my advice is to just try things out and see what they do. So yeah, now I have a light inside here. Lovely. Okay, and there's all sorts of things here. So there's some shapes, things like cinematics, visual effects, volumes. Don't worry about things like that for now. I'll just look at the lights and the shapes probably. But that is just the absolute kind of beginner's kind of guide to getting started. Just use this starter content, make a scene within this space that you're given in the template before you move on to anything else like the scripting and all that side of things afterwards. Okay, so I hope that's helped. See you later.